You said you can't follow it up, but you came on the stream last time and you told everyone to buy Takabu. Is it Tokabu or Takabu? I said Takabu at 5 mil, and it's up many X's from there. I think 7 right now,
Yeah, I
but
say Takabu, but I think a lot of people say Tokabu. So I think it's synonymous. Either is fine.
cool. Well, look, I'm not gonna ask you to give an intro again. It's 4PF Coyote. If you know, you know. If you don't, you should. But it's been, I don't know, a month since you came on. I mean, how are you? Like, what's changed? What have you been up to? What have you been focused on? Like, what? Give me some sauce.
All right, yeah, I can throw some sauce. Yeah, I think it's been really interesting market recently. I think that, and once again, like when I say markets, that means shitcoins, right? Like I don't know anything that goes, I don't know anything that goes on with the big boys. I just tromp around in the mud down here. But I think it's been interesting, right? Because like we've seen some signs of life. Like there's definitely been some tokens that have done some numbers. Ceilings have definitely raised a lot. I think it's been the most abysmal new pair market in a really long time. Speaking for myself, like as somebody who's traded new pairs like 360 days a year for probably the last 4 years, I think my performance over the last 2 months on tokens like older than or younger than 6 hours has been the worst I've ever done. So I think that is really frustrating people. You kind of have these like two segments of people who are like, whoa, like we're kind of getting to a place where we can start to believe again. And then there's these other people who are just super down and out on the eco. And I find that crowd is mostly kind of the like Cupsy et al. Like that type of trading is generally pretty bad right now. But
Whoa.
yeah, Takabu's been incredible. I mean, the thing that's funny is like you said that like I came on here and I shared an app like what was an absolute banger. And like the thing is like to me the trade is just starting. If anything, like this is just saying that like I'm like maybe on to something with kind of I won't go into all the reasons why I love Takabu like I did last time. But it's it really feels like one of those coins where there's a lot of divine solidarity behind it, which I think is like a main component that requires a coin to do valuations that most would consider absurd. And I think it just really goes along with this like sort of narrative. I know you've been talking to John Wang and on the TL and stuff about like the hyper financialization, like the hyper gamblification, kind of like the new emergence of this sector that we're calling GambleFi. I think it just aligns with a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I'm still super bullish. I'll leave you guys like here's some free sauce. A tweet that completely changed my trading style is from this guy Suspended Cap. You should follow him. It's like an alt of this guy who runs a fund
Do I
on
follow him?
Wall Street. Yeah, it's Contrarian Curse at Contrarian Curse.
Oh, I do follow
And
him.
so he tweeted this and he said, when I started my fund, one thing I told myself I wouldn't do after seeing another fund at our shop kill itself is doubling down into position unless I was really certain. I've almost exclusively expanded positions higher. And my God, do the results say it all? And so basically, what he means there is like tons of people get stuck in this thing that's like called like the DCA of death,
Uh-huh.
which is where like they're just adding because the price is lower and like the things have like principally changed about the trade and they're just adding because they're underwater, right? When in reality, you should be adding to positions when the trade is going in your favor because it means there's a higher probability that you're actually right, right? And so Takabu has been one of those trades for me. I bought for days after I came on this stream and told people about it. And if it goes, I mean, at this price, like I'm probably not a buyer just because I already own so much, but much lower, and I'll be a buyer again. So that's kind of the Takabu thing.
Okay.
Yeah, right
I have
now,
some I have some questions for you
go
on that.
ahead.
Can I cut you off? I want to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm rambling. It's
No, no,
okay.
you're not. I brought you here to ramble, but I just wanted to ask you a few before I lose it. First, there's that like famous Suzu tweet. I don't exactly know how it is, but it's most of the money in a bull market is made buying breakouts or something. And it's some bull porn propaganda, but it's a pretty good tweet. And I'll say this personally that my biggest losses, definitely my biggest singular loss, has come from the DCA. It was Go. You come from the DCA of death. And at first, you genuinely believe that you are buying at a better price and you're getting more. You feel like you're pulling a fast one, stealing tokens. And then the lower it goes, the more it becomes a personal ego battle that to stop catching the knife and to go one step further than that and to sell and capitulate the bag, you're basically accepting that I was wrong or the market has told me that I'm wrong. And it's a complete ego thing. Like this, my goat trade, I lost
Like Thread, I think Gork for Yumi and Frank was like an ego thing.
I was trying to think what the other one was. It was Gork was the other one.
That was
Gork was the other
we
one.
we all got carried out.
No, it
that
was
completely
totally an ego trade, and the market fucking takes you out back and it kills you. I lost in my singular worst P&L ever. I lost 800,000 United States dollars because I was unwilling to say that I was. To this day, I don't believe I was wrong, but the market told me I was wrong. So who's right? You want to be right, or you want to make money? And Gork was totally an ego trade. I had so much size in at such a low price that I'm like, fuck, if it could make a new high, I'm going to make so much money. And it's a fucking ego thing. And to shoot that down and to beat that is really difficult. My question for you is, how do you identify the coins at 30, 40, 50 mil that are going to run to a bill?
Yeah. So for me, it's like, it really is it boils down to two main components that I think like make up the lion's share of kind of what I call I think they're kind of like once or twice a year spots sort of deal that like are really the goats, the Pepes, the pop cats, the dog with hat, that kind of thing. So I think that the number one thing is outside flows. So you have to have something that is going to bring net new buyers from outside of the ecosystem, like the asset that you are considering to be one of those parabolic monsters has to be something that somebody outside of the current eco who is trading this market every single day wants to buy. Okay. I think examples of that, GOAT, the buyer there was really risk on speculative VCs who are probably right on a long enough time frame that AI and blockchain will go hand in hand, and there will be assets that go to absurd values on that narrative. They were just early, right? So I think that's an example there. I think Dog with Hat was definitely like an example of like some retail resurgence, and that there were definitely I met people in random places in public that like were not crypto traders who owned Dog with Hat. Like, I think that kind of the light bulb for me with that token, and I never owned it, was at 800 mil. I had a guy who showed me a Phantom wallet just like with $20,000 in WIF, who like literally had his son buy it for him and send it to him, kind of thing.
Whoa.
So I think yeah. So like those are the type of like light bulb stuff. I mean, there's been tons of examples of that are just freaky for me. Thread. Like I remember like my girl like spamming me Moodang memes when it was at 20 mil. And like at that point, like I thought like it completely missed the trade, you know, and then like it went to 300 from there or something like that. And so I think the outside flows, people have to be able to take an interest of it outside of the eco. So for Takabu, if we want to use that as an example, I think gamblers are that net new buyer, and that's been evident, right? Like all these poker players are seeing like changing their to Cabo PFP. Like that's not orchestrated, that's not correlated. Sure, I've talked to some of them, but like those are guys who are just like networking amongst themselves, like, yo, like I'm up like 800% on the Spirit of Gambling token, you should look into this, that kind of thing. So that's segment number one. Number two, in terms of like what gets these things to multi-billion valuations, is the divine solidarity component. I think that like the best example of that in recent memory is SPX, right? And that like all those people who owned that token, A, sat through over a year of chop, and B, believed in a mission that was bigger than themselves, so much so that their conviction in that narrative outweighed price fluctuation. And so I think that you have to find a theme though that people can really get behind, and that's the difficult part and why it happens so little in our ecosystem, right? And so yeah, I think that like those are the two main components, and anything that you can find in that range is a good bet. I think currently in this market, it's super hard to buy tokens. I don't know if you know Fubius Vandersnatch, Thread, really good trader.
I know Fubius.
Would be a sick guy to have up here someday. I don't know if he does streams or not.
Okay,
but
yeah, it's Cabo
he
PFP.
was talking to me, and he was like, we were talking about a token, and he was like, man, it just, I want to buy stuff at 20, 30, 40 mil so bad, but it just feels like you get burnt more often than you win doing that these days. And so it's really like I align with people who are really struggling to buy some of these super good tokens that are kind of in that range, because the market's been punishing people for doing it. But the good news is I think that ends at some point in the near future. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I like the, I think Murad is a very important figure for crypto Twitter and crypto broadly. And I think one of the things I agree, like this idea, I basically have this idea that I believe that more and more people will do things like endorse tokens, like change their PFP to Takabu that aren't necessarily crypto native, because there is just this 2020s internet theme that people want clout on Twitter so desperately. Like, people just want to be cool on Twitter really bad. People
Absolutely.
people yearn to be cool on Twitter. And if you have an opportunity to, with money, buy cool on Twitter, more people are just going to do it. And I think that this is like one of the reasons I think crypto communities just get bigger. Like, the community thing just never made sense for me with NFTs, because it was a way to justify why I just spent $500,000 on this Bored Ape PFP. With Memecoins, the community factor of why I would publicly endorse this thing makes a lot of sense to me. And I think one of the other things that,
The thing is what you're talking about is fleeting though, right, Thread?
yeah,
Because when price starts to go down, this this community driven by price that you're explaining like sort of dissolves, right?
this is
And
fair.
so I think like what Murad has right, I actually have a lot of respect for Murad because I think like while he may have like not chosen good tokens and like probably like didn't go about it necessarily the best way,
Yeah, agreed.
like he is right in that like people have to have like an it factor that is above money in order for these things to like really turn into like these giant success stories, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, by the way, I agree. I bet you he wishes he could have the list back if he could go about it
Absolutely.
differently. But it was a different time, dude.
It was a much simpler time,
It's a
to be
much simpler
honest.
time, and there wasn't that many tokens, bro.
There was not that many tokens. And also like I think that like the stuff we traded back then was a lot more brain dead. Like there's like a lot more critical thinking that is required trading on Axiom every single day than I think back then. You know, I mean, like we literally sent a autistic Joe Biden coin to what, like $800 million,
I think to a
something like
billion.
that.
I think to a billion, dude.
Yeah,
That was fun. I also think this thing that you said, like, I like to play the 30, 40, $50 million range, 20 and slam. I'm just like not really built to play new pairs. Especially, I always joke about having a streamer portfolio. I'm just not really built for new pairs. Nor do I like new pairs. And you were getting burned forever playing that game. Like, there were some exceptions, right? You could have blasted useless, you could have blasted GP, or you could have blasted house coin back in the day. Like, there was like things. There's been things that have ran.
Yeah,
Um,
right. But like they were also really difficult trades, and that like useless zeroed out for a month before it went up, you know, and house coin same thing. So I think that like yeah, there definitely were trades, but they also like weren't written on the wall, you know.
Correct. And I think the one thing that I had started thinking about more when I'm like, fuck, man, I'm getting killed on these coins, is who is the marginal buyer at 50 mil that thinks it's going to go to a bill, right? Like, if you're buying a coin at 50 mil, you think it's going to 500 mil, right? I mean, you got to be thinking 10x, otherwise you're just wasting your time, right? You're not buying at 50 mil for I might squeeze 25% out of this. Right? It's not a bill. It's 50 mil. It's not pump fun, right? You're not scalping to Kabu for like 33% trade. You think you're gonna fucking 10x on it. That's why you're slamming at 50 mil. And I had to think, like, who is the marginal buyer that is coming in to ape this thing at 50 mil? And I think the first time that I like made sense of that was like Go. And I got too in the Kool-Aid, but I understood it wasn't a Gake candle that was sending GOAT from 200 mil to a bill. It was like family office that, like you said, is very risk on and a little bit edgy. And maybe they have
You
some
need to understand like what they're used to trading, right? Like in it, like to us, like a 50 mil asset is like astronomically expensive. To them, it's like they're the first ones to discover it, kind of thing, you know. And so there really are levels to it. But yeah, you're completely correct.
Tell me about what you're interested in right now outside of Takabu.
Dude, I've been like
Chill it.
super heads down in the weeds on prediction markets for like the last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a lot going on there. I think a lot of people are starting to talk about it, but I think that, um, yeah, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with Thread. Like, what's your familiarity with prediction markets, and like, where do you like kind of see it as a market segment and as a product?
I mean, okay, I think that I fall under the sheep mindset that prediction markets are gonna be huge. I also think that there's this asymmetry in the market where prediction markets have unreal mind share, like ungodly levels of mind share, but maybe not as much volume and usage to match that yet, and definitely not as much information and education to match that. Like everyone knows what Polymarket is, but how many people have actually traded on Polymarket? There's some serious asymmetry in that market, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I have some experience. Like there was a threadguy market for Will Threadguy interview Trump that had a couple $100,000 bet on it. We had a market on the poker stream in November 2024. So I believe in it deeply, but I am less in the weeds maybe than I should be as far as a trader, thinker, builder perspective.
Yeah. So can I give you some context from my research and like kind of like why I think it is the way it is, and then
Bring it
I
on,
probably will shill a bag,
please.
if that's fun.
That's why you're here, man.
Okay. Okay. Great. So contextually, right? Like the rise of prediction markets has been like, it might be an understatement, meteoric, in that even like 18 months ago, like 2 years ago, like these are pretty rudimentary products that nobody was really using, right? And then the election was like the biggest catalyst ever for prediction markets, mainly because it proved the PMF, right? And that like the market is actually the all knower, the all seer, right? And that Polymarket for months priced like a pretty sizable Trump win when polling did not whatsoever, and then the market was correct, right? And so we went from like very rudimentary tech to like now we have two unicorns, Kalshi like publicly raised at like 2 bill, I think, and Poly I think is planning to raise like at like 1 or 1.2, not 100% certain on the number there, don't quote me. But the problem with prediction markets currently is that they're like super difficult to use. And I'm going to use a crypto parallel. It reminds me a lot of like Uniswap after Pepe.
Whoa.
And it like Pepe happened and then we had Uniswap. We're like, okay, so like we have all these people who like want to trade these assets like on Ethereum, and we have Uniswap, which like at first was sort of the all-encompassing, like it was a full suite for trading shitcoins, albeit a bad one from a UI perspective, and it was difficult to use. People had to adjust their slippage and gas fees. People were having tons of failed transactions. The UI wouldn't work, like all that type of thing. And then we had the emergence of Telegram bots, Unibot, like which sort of revolutionized the way we traded shitcoins on Ethereum, and then eventually leading to all different chain. Really that whole, like people don't give Telegram bots enough credit for the fact like that like literally revolutionized this industry to a point like where we would not be here today having this conversation if that had not happened. Like if Unibot had not existed, like Telegram tech had not been created, right? And so what happens is like these products, they're like the first movers in these sort of like earth shattering sectors, end up like going from like the full suite to sort of more of the Oracle, right? And so I view it as like Uniswap, like for the longest time on ETH, like everything was still routed through Uniswap, right? It's just like the people weren't using the UI to trade on Uniswap. They were using Telegram bots. And so I kind of think like that's the massive problem with Polymarket. It's incredibly difficult to use. You have to figure out how to get funds on Polygon, right? Then you have to have like this obscure version of USDC called USDC.E. It's funny. The bag that I'm about to shill, the head of on-chain at Gemini was literally troubleshooting with the dev, trying to use the product because he accidentally sent the wrong type of USDC on Polygon. This is the head of on-chain at Gemini is having trouble using Polymarket or like a prediction bot trading bot. And like we expect to onboard the masses to that. You know, like if you've never used on-chain before in any capacity, it's impossible to use a prediction market currently, right? And so I really think that, so then like enter the bag that I'm going to show, which is Flipper. Okay. And Flipper is an interesting one because I was actually in it super early. I've owned it the entire time, although I own way less than I did initially because, to put it frank, what they were advertising their product was so ambitious and so just like out of scope that I didn't even think that they were going to ship it or that it was even possible, right? And so their whole idea was they want to create deeper liquidity for prediction markets because that's like one of the main issues, right? Is they're not particularly liquid, and also incorporate a liquidation engine and a margin oracle so that leverage can be possible. And so I had a small bag of it, and then I checked, I don't know, like maybe a week ago, and they had quietly shipped the beta for this terminal. And I go on there and I'm able to open positions on leverage. the thing is right, like that could just be a UI thing. Like they're able to like reflect to me that I have a quote unquote leverage position, right? There's not docs on the back end, but they've done lots of conversations like Q&A, like on the TL, sort of about how it works. And my understanding is that they're going to put docs out in the coming week. The thing is just like, this is a super hot topic, like in VC land. Like I know Paradigm was actively looking to seed people to build a leverage product for prediction markets. And I think like, if you're telling me that like a shitcoin team like won the space race in prediction markets to like build leverage like before any of these like huge VC firms could figure it out, I think that's a pretty compelling fucking narrative, right? So I think like the price action you've seen on it recently is people betting on like whether or not the tech is sound. I own it because I'm willing to bet that it is sound, but I think that in general, prediction markets like this, it fits exactly in this sort of like gamble-fi market segment that's emerging to me. And that like we're just gonna hyper financialize everything. And in order to do that, we need to make the playing field more equitable. And Flipper does that for prediction markets.
I mean, you've mastered the art of the FOMO show. I gotta give you that. You have. You really have.
Well, yeah, like the thing is like, but like we talk about ceilings and like yes, like it is a bit of a FOMO show. Like I understand it's up 300% in the last like 2 days or whatever. But like we talk about valuations, like where the marginal buyer is like this thing has real revenue that is like going back into this token. Like it's very similar to a GP, a hyperliquid. Like if you think people are going to use this product, the token is going to go up from the product's revenue going back into the token. It just is like a matter of like if you believe it's something that people would use.
I think it's a sick show, and it's funny because it like actually segued to our unplanned conversation we had at the beginning. Let me ask you this. How is it possible that this random meme coin team on like Solana would have solved this before Kalshi, before Polymarket, before these behemoths that we know everyone is working on? Like, how is that possible? We know everyone is trying to accomplish this.
Like that's what I'm saying is like it almost doesn't sound believable. But like I think that like to me, I hate to even like bring up this term. I know it's so triggering to you. I really apologize, but like this is like the pinnacle to me of like what ICM like was supposed to be about.
I like ICM, by the way. No, I like it. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, but like my point is that like the whole thing with ICM was the narrative was the venture like model is broken, right? Like there's a better way to do this, and like if we like do this a better way, like not only can we like scale like equitability, but we can also like scale efficiency, right? And so if there's a huge if, like they were somehow able to like beat all of these like funds, like quants and code monkeys locked in an office in San Francisco. Like that is like the proven use case for ICM and kind of shows why like token models for startups can be useful.
Yeah.
You know? And so yes, like I agree with you that like it almost sounds absurd. But from all that I can tell from publicly available info, like what they're reflecting is that they have done that. I mean, if that is the case, I think it's a huge win for our ecosystem as a whole. Like whether or not you own the token or not, like it's like proof of work for bigger things to come at a minimum.
What's the market cap of it right now?
So it's only 70% circulating. So I think it is technically like 11 mil, 12 mil ish.
I wanted to bring them on the stream or like consider it, but I couldn't figure out who runs it.
Yeah, so I can hit them up in DMs. It's a team of 3 guys. At least when I talked to them a month ago. I don't know if they've expanded the team or like done any hiring or that kind of thing. But they're like definitely very much. They would be great people to have up here because they're super technical. You can tell that they're very heads down. I'm not sure if you noticed, one thing I really like about them is they don't like tweet any like rah bullishness type thing. It's all like they only tweet when they have a product update, and that's it. Like the only time there's any comms from the team is like when like something has changed with the product.
Also, real quick shout out BBFP with the 20 gifted. Where do they come from? Like, do we know their background? Have they worked like ex Polymarket? Where do these people come from?
Yeah, so I probed. Obviously they're undoxed, which is a pretty common theme in shitcoins, right? Which is like once again, this is not like me trying to create FOMO or anything, but like that's not the end of the world. Like we've had great teams in Undux. Good example, Pump Fun, Undux team for a very long time. Like
That's probably the best example, by the way.
Yeah, probably the best example of
example,
a Undox team or a Docs team. Oh, sorry, Undox team really delivering. But I know that they publicly stated to me that one of them worked for a long time in Fang, and then the other two are crypto native and have been working for crypto protocols. They would not specify which ones. I know that they are not located in Southeast Asia, and they are mostly, I think, European based. So yeah, that's kind of all the info.
Do they arbitrage existing markets on Polymarket and Kalshi? Because with prediction markets, the hardest thing I think or one of the hardest things to solve is liquidity, and these books are really hard to trade.
It absolutely is, right? And like that's the other thing that is like, and I think Hyperliquid's a good example of this. And by the way, like when it comes to like sort of all this quant finance stuff, I'm really not the guy to talk to, and so like my misunderstanding is like pretty mid. But like it used to be that like we like liquidity was required like to build products on top of markets, right? Like things like leverage, options, that kind of thing. And now like with things like Hyperliquid, we've kind of learned that leverage products can actually like bring liquidity and like make markets more liquid. And so I'm hoping that like that can be a general thematic element with this as well. I think that you're completely right though that there's really like 5 to 10 markets at a time maybe that are liquid enough to ape $10,000 or $20,000. The rest of the stuff is like super small size, and I think the arbitrage is a huge issue. There's also like a big issue with that, in that Kalshi and Polymarket will have markets that are like very similar but like not exactly worded the same, and since it's like a binary outcome thing, there like you could lose on both technically. Like there's like some concerns with arbing in those types of markets as well. So I mean, yeah, but this is like the thing, right? Is like think about all the things that we've just come up with to talk about like regarding the subject. Like there's just so much room for growth and so much unknown. And I'm really excited to just see the segment as a whole get built out.
I like, one of the things I like about you is the same thing that I like about Andy 8052 is the same thing I like about maybe not Pau as much because he trades every coin, that I also like about honestly flipping profits as of recent, is that every time that there is a good coin, there is just the same group of people that are gravitated towards it early, and I don't think it's because they're making the coin. Like I don't think it's the case like, oh yeah, obviously the same people are involved in the good coins because they make the coins. I actually think it works the other way around. And there's just like this group, and I say you guys because you're the ones that are doing it on Twitter. I know there's hundreds of people that are doing it on Telegram. You're the ones that are doing it on Twitter. That OG Ant as well, he deserves a shout out.
Yeah, sure.
That are doing it on Twitter, and they just sort of gravitate to the good coins, and you just kind of stay away from the not so good coins, and you just like have an ability to, like, no pun intended with that big ass nose on your screen, have an ability to just like sniff it out. And it's it's impressive. Like you just gravitate, you're just good at it. You just have an instinct for it. And I think you can learn it, but I think there's just like an ability to be good at recognizing narratives when they come to be. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that like that's like where like the meta skill is entrenching, right? And that like so many people are focused on like, oh, I'm gonna sell when Pau buys, or like I'm gonna try and flip this from like 100K to 400K, like, or I'm gonna buy the bonk coins today because PCS like came out and made a tweet, bonk coins are gonna be hot, that kind of thing. Like the way to like really win forever with this game is like being able to learn how to identify assets that have the possibility to go to valuations like beyond your wildest dreams. And if you can just put yourself in spots like that over and over again, you're gonna hit a few of them.
Coyote, man, I wish we had longer. We should do 30 minutes every week. You're awesome, man.
Dude, I love coming on.
Do you?
Like, it's so much fun for me, and I think that it also is good for my process. Like when I get to talk about stuff in this format, it really helps me think in a better mindset, I would say. So anyways, anytime you want me up here, I'm always happy.
It's a pleasure, man. BBFP with the 20 gift to Coyote. You're the best, dude. We gotta talk offline anyway. So
yeah, call me after.
Cool. All right, bro. Have a good one.
All right.
Peace.